Hello children of class 7. In my previous video, I have started the properties of soil and I have already explained the first property, that is percolation or percolation rate of water. So now we start today the second property, that is water absorption property. So when water percolates through the soil, some amount of it is absorbed by the soil itself as it seeps down to the water table. How much water a particular soil can absorb is dependent on the water holding capacity of the soil, which in turn is determined by the particle size. Smaller particles like those of the clay can hold more water being closely packed, while bigger particles like those of sand being loosely packed cannot retain water for the long time. So the water absorption capacity, these lines wanted to say that the water absorption capacity depends mostly upon the size of the particles of the soil. So smaller the particles, there will be more absorption or water retention capacity, and bigger is the particles, then the water retention capacity is very low. Another property is soil moisture. Due to its tendency to absorb water, soil contains moisture in it. This can be demonstrated by another activity. So you can just read the activity by yourself. Next one is suitability of soil for crops. So which type of soil is required for the crops, that is called suitability of soil for the crops, because all the crops do not need the same type of soil. Depending upon the crops or requirement of the crop, soil is needed for different type of soil is needed for the crops. So each crop has its own requirement of water, air and nutrients. The soil in each place is different in terms of its property. That is why specific crops are cultivated in specific areas depending on the suitability of the soil as well as geographic and climatic condition of the place. However, the soil of a place can be made suitable by maintaining the balance of the following factor: acidity or pH of the soil, air spaces, water holding capacity, amounts of nutrients. That's why you might have seen that paddy crop in our country, mostly paddy is the most important crop in India. So paddy is always cultivated during the rainy season, because for paddy the water retention capacity, that means water logging, is very important. That's why it is always grown in the rainy season, and mostly in that area where rain is occurring in more quantity. Okay, now the factors, those are taken care of for the following ways. Plants grow well in soil that is neither too acidic nor too alkaline. These are the factors that is taken care in the following ways. Soil that is more acidic can be made neutral by adding alkaline calcium carbonate, and the more alkaline soil is neutralized by adding peat to it. What is peat? Peat is an accumulation of dead vegetation that is rich in organic matter. It is found in specific area called peatlands. That main constituent of this type of vegetation is sphagnum moss. Peat is a high carbonate content and a high capability of absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. In fact, it is the first stage of formation of fossil fuel like coal. You know that coal is a fossil fuel. So peat is a type of coal that is formed by the accumulation of dead vegetation, means dead plants and animals. After millions of years, ago, when these vegetation compressed by in the absence of oxygen, it converted into the coal, and so it is a type of coal. So it is a very important part of the soil. Manures and fertilizers are added to the soil that has low amount of nutrients and minerals like nitrate, phosphate, potassium and magnesium in it. In addition, combination of different types of soils are used to improve the texture of the soil. For the cultivation of wheat and gram, clay soil is used because of its water holding capacity. Pulses require a soil through which water can drain easily, while for paddy, a soil with a more water retention is needed. That is why loamy and clay soils are used for the cultivation of paddy crops respectively. Sandy loam soil with greater air spaces is suitable for cotton. Now, what is soil erosion? Soil is very essential for the growth of plants and trees, and should be well taken care of. Unfortunately, we humans are ruining it each day in our hunger for progress and prosperity. Soil erosion and soil pollution are the two major threats to the soil. Let us, why it is threats for two major threats? Because due to the cutting down of the trees, soil erosion is mostly taken place, and soil pollution also due to we throw out our dirty garbages on the soil. It creates or it generates the soil pollution. So what is soil pollution? Topsoil is the most important layer of the soil for growing of the plants, as it contains humus. But just as the soil helps plant growth, plants and trees are also responsible for the existence of soil. The roots of the plant hold on the soil and bind it firmly so that it cannot be washed away by the rainwater or blown away with the wind. In areas where there is no vegetation or very low vegetation, the plant root cannot fix the soil, and that's why the topmost layer of the soil, that is humus region, are blown away by the air, either by the air or by the water, and this blowing away or removal of the topmost layer of the soil is known as soil erosion. How can we prevent this soil erosion? So first one is by afforestation. Now what is afforestation? That is planting more and more trees to bind and hold the soil. So it is called afforestation, the planting and growing of more and more trees. Another thing is overgrazing. To prevent overgrazing, cattle should not be allowed to graze in the same patch of land repeatedly. This prevents the soil erosion from river banks, meadows and hillsides due to overgrazing. And third one is terrace farming. Mostly in the hilly areas, the water just slips down and thus eroded the topmost soil, and we can prevent this by the forming of this type of vegetation, that is by making stairs on the hilly areas. This type of farming is known as terrace farming. Okay, so this is called terrace farming, like that of a staircase. And last one is that for this video, it is soil pollution. What is soil pollution? Like the air and water around us, the unwise and selfish activities of man are also polluting the soil. Some of the activities that led to the soil pollution are as follows: dumping of toxic waste in the soil, overuse of fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides, throwing plastics and dumping other non-degradable material in the soil. Non-degradable material, you can see here a term is given, non-degradable, that is those material that cannot be decomposed by the microorganisms or bacteria in the soil. That type of substances are known as non-degradable material. Degrade the quality of soil, and the accumulation of these type of materials in the soil degrade the quality of soil. That means making less important or less important of the quality of the soil by adding toxic substances to it. They also affect the growth of useful microorganisms in the soil. These activities should therefore be strictly controlled. Proper arrangement for the safe disposal of chemical waste should be made. Recycling and reuse of material should be encouraged rather than the throwing them away. Organic fertilizers and pesticides should be used in place of chemical fertilizer and chemical pesticide. Nowadays, organic fertilizers are mostly used to prevent the soil pollution. That is, organic fertilizers prepared from the mostly the dead and biodegradable materials. And also the government should make strict laws against the dumping of waste in improper way. And also we have to use, or we have to maintain the 4R. Firstly it was only 3R, but now it has become the 5 R's also. Recycling, reuse, refuse, reduce, and one more is recycling. Okay, so these are mostly the 5 types of R's, that is called 5 R's. So that's end of the chapter. In this video we have completed this explanation of the chapter, and you watch this video, and thank you.